Welcome, this is Robin Hodson from Music First. And the session I'm about to give is called A More Complete Music Education Experience. It Can Be Done. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you what we regard as our holistic solutions for music education at Music First, starting with a little bit of a K5 stuff, and then also what we're doing for grades 6 through 12. And we've worked quite hard to develop solutions that are going to work for you as a band director, orchestra, choir, but also if you teach general music, guitar, music technology, piano, theory, or any kind of level of creativity. So let me switch over to our website for a second. If you go to musicfirst.com, and you're a K5 teacher, we've actually these days got lots of solutions for you at K5, where we've put together curricular style materials with schemes of work and lesson plans. First of all, we've had Music First Junior for some while, and you can find that on our website under the word platforms. And you can request a trial of that. It includes software as well, but it is, you know, a proper K5 scaffolded curriculum, which you can look at. But that's not the only thing we have these days for K5. We've also, if I go ahead to the software tab, you'll see several things here that are targeting K5 elementary general music teachers. Cool for School is really interesting, and you can click on that and play with it. Library of songs, dance movements, songwriting things as well inside there. It's a website called Cool for School, and feel free to try that, watch some of the videos. That's one of our newer solutions for K5. Hyperscore has just come along. Now that's being used by other people as well, but you could use it at K5 level. It's a really interesting, creative, kind of a pre-sequencer for younger children if you want them to start getting creative right away with these interesting windows that you can see being displayed on the website there. Again, feel free to request a trial of that. Hyperscore, that is called. Also, in case I forget, a little add-on that we've been working with for quite a while is called the Singing Classroom. It's a standalone website for teachers with a huge library of songs for younger children, each of which has some kind of activity that goes with it. Some of them are crafting activities, some of them are movements, games, sing-alongs, with basically a teacher has put this together and leads you through exactly how to teach any of the songs. There are hundreds of songs. A lot of them are public domain with a good searchable library as well. If you, in fact, if you go to the singingclassroom.com, you will see more of that. And the other big thing that we've been working on or working with is our friends at Music Play Online. So that's you'll find it under the software tab of our main website, musicfirst.com. Very interesting set of resources put together by Denise Gagne in Canada, but it's a really, really good resource used quite widely in the US. And if you've not seen it before, again, please request a trial. So that sort of covers off what we're doing with K5. And if you are interested in digging further into K5, then just let me know. Because I look after New Jersey for Music First. I am Robin at musicfirst.com. But what I want to lead you over into, which is the focus of this sort of holistic kind of message that we have, is to Music First Classroom, which again, you can read about it on our website, Music First Classroom. But I'm going to go live into it now. And if you want an access code to get into it yourself, please request one. You can just send me an email and I will set you up with an access code. What we've got here is a huge range of resources, 11 software programs, some free resources, lots of content. And taking that strand, we think that you can, in fact, go down lots of different paths to give your students a rounded music education. And let's take a look. I'm going to log in. Notice, by the way, we've just added sign in with Google as an option. So those of you who like to do Google single sign-on, you can do that now. And also for the nerds amongst us, if you like things like ClassLink, School Passport, and various other methods of rostering your students, we've done lots of work in the back end for Music First Classroom these days. It's easier than ever before to get your students enrolled. So this, yeah, is built for students and teachers. We would say that generally speaking, it's targeting grades 5 through 12. Might be 6 through 12. We have some people using teaching younger grade levels than that are using Music First Classroom. But it is, because it's sold per seat, it tends to be used by the grade levels beyond K5, sold per seat. So a teacher counts as a seat, a student counts as a seat. And the thing that interests most people, you see the 4 tabs at the top of the screen there. The thing that interests most people, I guess, is the software tab, because there you will find the 11 software programs. So nobody would use all 11, but we went around the world looking for cool stuff that works in the cloud. And when we speak of holistic music education, we think we've got most aspects covered. And lots of teachers end up choosing maybe 2 or 3 of these software programs to teach with. A couple of them are included automatically, actually. Let's show you that one. Focus on Sound. Just launch it by clicking on it. So Focus on Sound is a general music tool. Think of it a bit like an encyclopedia, but it also has tests and lessons built in, so you can follow what you might call learning pathways inside it. Some teachers use it just to bring up individual terms or screens that might describe what they're currently teaching. So when you first go into Focus on Sound, there's an Instruments tab, there's a Musical Topics tab, and within those, you'll see lots of subgroups. Same for instruments. If you want to see all that we're covering in instruments, just click on the dictionary in the top left, and you'll see all the multiple pages that we have being displayed on the left-hand side there. Lots and lots of things. Basically, everything's got a page. So it doesn't matter whether you're describing, you know, a musical term. In this case, melisma. There's going to be some audio. There may even be some video describing more what a melisma is. There's always audio to click on to play. There's very often there's some kind of video as well. Sometimes we link out to YouTube, and sometimes we have our own built-in videos in Focus on Sound. So you can bring up an individual term, or let's say you want to dig deeper into an instrument. You should find pretty much every instrument listed there, so you can go in. So there's something for everybody. If you just want to bring up an actual screen, play some audio, describe something, find out a little bit more. Quite often we also have a page, if as a student you're thinking about learning an instrument, we have a page which will describe, is it easy to play? Is it expensive? Do I look cool when I play it? Things like that. So fun and games with Focus on Sound. A real popular way of using it, because Focus on Sound supports our task system, is that you can find a page that you really like. Let's say it was something like a lesson on a particular thing. Let's just click on lessons and then world instruments. And let's say I'm clicking on a lesson that features the music of Brazil. So there's a whole lesson, and you're seeing what's being described, what's going to be described in that lesson. Now you can link this exact landing page to a task in Music First. So for those of you who are looking at this and thinking, well, my students would get lost inside here because there's so many pages, you can link them to the exact page that you want them to go to by creating a task in Music First. So if you've ever wondered why Music First Classroom exists, it's the glue that binds together all the software that you want to use with more added. So I just mentioned Focus on Sound as an option. because it's included automatically. Coming back to the classroom, we quite often include Ogenerator as well, which is a looping tool for students that are just at the beginning of learning how to be creative with a screen like this when you first start. This is actually about to get a big makeover, but it takes music and turns it into a circle. That's why it's called Ogenerator. You basically arm your circles. I'm just choosing some instruments at random. And then it starts off this thing called the Ogenerator, where a bar of music is now being represented by what you might call a clock or a circle. First beat of the bar is beat 1, if you're in 4/4 time. Second beat of the bar is here at 3 o'clock. Third beat is at 6 o'clock. And fourth beat is at 9 o'clock. So you can immediately start getting quite creative by clicking inside the circles to start getting music appearing. And the red circle in this instance is rock drums. The yellow circle, I'm just putting in some hi-hats and so forth. So lots of things you can start building up. You can build up a particular pattern. You can write multiple measures. You can record into it. So literally sing into it. You can render what you do as a ringtone, export it out of Ogenerator somewhere else. But we like this graphic here. And most music goes from left to right, of course. But Ogenerator is one of those things that doesn't. And we've had lots of success with students with various levels of learning disability doing very well with Ogenerator. So feel free to explore that. There are, as ever, many lessons included as well. So we pretty much always have lessons attached to the software, where, you know, sometimes it's inside the software and sometimes it's inside our content library. But we pretty much never sort of give you software and just let you go without having to, without getting any help on learning it. So it's Ogenerator. We also cover the ear training and theory training, ear training aspects and theory through programs like Aurelia. Let's just take a quick look at that. So Aurelia's got tons of topics for ear training. And recently Aurelia changed how it works so that you can pretty much stay, those of you who know Aurelia, it used to be downloaded software. And nowadays it's pretty much entirely inside the browser. When you go to Aurelia, you'll see all these different syllabi, introductory syllabi, beginner, intermediate, and jazz. In the introductory, you'll see the topics that we suggest you might want to cover in ear training. And then as you go up to intermediate, being the highest level of this version of Aurelia, you get more topics and they go a little bit deeper. Lots of really cool stuff that you won't find in other software programs. For example, I really like the melodic dictation elements, where it's going to play you a melody and you actually have to write it down. The key thing is that it is grading you at all times. It records every keystroke that a student does. I won't do this exercise, but I'll just show you what it is. So this is quite hard, this exercise. It's going to play a melody at you. And then you have to just... So that was quite a long melody. And I might have to play it 3 or 4 times before I'm happy and confident that I'm transcribing the 4 measures of that melody. I just started. I can speed it up, I can slow it down. But basically, if I submit my answer, it will tell me whether I'm right or wrong in a clever and inclusive kind of way, the way it grades. So imagine that for all of these different topics, you can go to any topic, choose a level of difficulty and then start going. And if you let your kids loose in it, it will record everything they do. And you'll find yourself with a grading page where you can look at all their results. So Aurelia is very thorough. You can also set tasks for your students to do a particular number of exercises if you want to have a kind of a level playing field for all your students. It does randomize the questions, but you can say, give me 10 questions at level 1 difficulty of instrument recognition, and then give me 10 more on a different topic. And you can assign that to the students. When the students do it, it grades them and sends you back the results. So if you like that kind of thing, let's talk about music theory as well. The brother program to Aurelia, which is another option for you in the classroom, is Musician. Different topics, but everything is approached from a music theory standpoint this time rather than ear training. So you might find some topics that are quite similar to Aurelia, like interval recognition, you may find, but because it's music theory, it's less likely to play the examples, and it's more likely to display them rather than play them back. So in this case, I have to enter an interval, an ascending perfect fifth. So if I put it in and click submit, it will tell me that I was right. I can keep going, and it will go on asking me question after question, or I can switch to a different level if need be. Now, theory, just on the topic of theory and music first, theory is in lots of places in music first. So we have a dedicated theory program, Musician. You'll find theory in Focused on Sound as well. So not necessarily one place to find it. There's, if you go to Focus on Sound, there's a button there called Basic Music Theory, and you can click inside there, find out more. That's the second place where we have theory. A third place that we have theory is inside our Resources tab. Lo and behold, we have musictheory.net, which some of you will be familiar with, a free resource, and excellent it is. But some of you will realize, or those of you who've tried musictheory.net will know that it's quite hard to receive the results back from students, mostly because it doesn't support a simple task system where you give them a task and there's a submit button. We'd love them to have a submit button, but right now you have to leap through a couple of more hoops to get your student results back. But then again, it's a free resource. It's excellent if you go into the lessons or the exercises. So that's another place where we have theory. And another place is inside our content library. So in case I don't get here, only have a few minutes. So in the Music First classroom is a massive content library. So you'll see the word content, and then you'll see the word Music First library. And this opens up into 6 big pots of content. What's inside here? Basically lesson plans, quizzes, courses, assignments, assessments, divided into those 6 pots. And if you're looking for theory, then obviously go to the theory pot. And this is a good example. When you go to the theory pot inside here, you can see we've organized all the materials by grade level, but also by type of material and by topics covered. So you'll see that there's a course here. So we have a complete music theory course here with videos, with individual stages to it. There's a whole syllabus here, but can you see they're divided into 8 units, and you can sample any of this, start to explore it. Click on the syllabus if you want to dig deeper. But basically, if you want to use any of our course materials, just click the red button. And this is what I really like about the way Music First Classroom is scheduled. So I'm calling this Music Theory. I'll just give it, I've got lots of classes, so I'll call it Music Theory Robin. So I know the name of my course. It actually creates a whole class for you. Just like any other learning management system, it creates a class inside Music First Classroom. You can enroll students in this class, but look at this. If I go to the classes calendar, lo and behold, all the materials from this course, all of them, are now in the calendar, ready to be dragged, assuming you've looked through the course first and you've decided what you want to do. So I could say I want to do stage 1.4, reading notes on the bass, and I'm scheduling for back to school time, first week of September. I can drag that onto, let's do it Tuesday the 5th. And so that's the lesson, and there's an assignment for the students to complete, so I can drag that onto a different date. So any student enrolled in your class will now see this as a to-do thing on their list of things to do. So if you want to work really fast using our content, you can just drag it from the calendar, like it, add it to your favorites, and then just drag it using the calendar. So as previously stated, you can find theory inside our content library. If you're curious about the other pots, general music has got lots and lots of stuff inside it. And it covers off creative elements as well as exploratory elements in particular. And if you scroll through, you'll find lots of stuff here. There are 6 courses included at the moment, a whole pop music course. Some of these courses might take you a year to teach. And they're fun courses. They're not just like dry. They've got lesson plans, they've got videos, they've got listening lists inside them. Jazz course, music history course, 2 levels of music technology. There's a guitar course as well, stuff like that. Another thing that you may care to do is just, you can search. Let's say you said, well, I'm a Noteflight. I like Noteflight, the software. What have you got for Noteflight? I can search using the word Noteflight inside this particular pot of content, and it would find all the lessons that we have for Noteflight, which you can just open up and start using. Lots and lots of lessons. So content is definitely worth exploring by just going to the content tab and clicking Music First Library. Back to the software and back to this whole thing about being holistic. We have 2 notation programs. So if your thing is teaching with notation or creativity or using notation programs, we've got 2 choices. We've got Flat and we've got Noteflight. So either of them, they both cost the same amount. Most of these software programs cost around $2, $3, maybe $4 per kid per year to enroll in. It just makes more sense to be triggering them from the classroom because students only need to log in one time and they will get access to all the software that you've chosen to unlock, rather than them having to go to all these different sites to do their work. So you can have as many software programs as you want. You can give them tasks in the software to do. You can give them content, off-the-shelf content. You can create your own content and so forth. So Flat and Noteflight available for you to use. Just click on them to launch them and play with them. If you don't know how they work, they will just launch in another tab in your web browser. By the way, pretty much everything we do works on pretty much every style of computer, including students' phones as well. So Flat is a great tool, as is Noteflight. So don't probably have any time to get into that in great detail, but 2 notation programs. Music, if you don't know what that is, that allows you to open, it's a scanning program actually, or a recognition program, where you can, if you've ever struggled with the idea that you've only got a PDF of sheet music that you're working on for the next concert, and you'd really like to make it play back, then Noteflight is your thing. Because you can upload, using the plus button at the top of the screen, you can upload a PDF file of music, and Music will turn it into something that plays back. Usually takes a few minutes to do it because it uses their servers, but it will take a piece of music like this, and then it will eventually turn that into a piece where you can play back any of the parts. You can mute them, you can set a different volume level, you can even annotate the score. If you want to add markings, you can share it with your students, and you can also turn the piece into an XML file. Some of you may know what that is. In other words, if I want to take this piece one stage further and send it into a program like Practice First, Finale, Sibelius, Noteflight, MuseScore, Smart Music, I can save this file as an XML file and it becomes fully interactive. So Music's quite an interesting tool for those targeting. Teachers would start using it and then share with their students. So coming on to the bottom row here, we've got 2 sequencers. Why have we got 2? Because we found 2 excellent sequencers that live in the cloud. Soundation's been around for a little bit longer than Soundtrap, I like Soundation as well as Soundtrap. They're both worth exploring. Soundation, they both do the same thing. And in some cases, it's just a question of, what is the interface that you like? So they both have loops, they both have MIDI stuff. You can play into them on a virtual keyboard. You can attach a real MIDI keyboard using a USB cable if you want to, if that's your thing, and you can become a MIDI sequencer user. Or you might want to use audio loops, existing loops that are already inside the program, perhaps. You simply pick up something that you like and drop it onto the screen, and it immediately plays back, as you'd expect any sequencer to do. And then you can start recording on another track, and you build up a whole mix. Some teachers use Soundation or Soundtrap to import a file, perhaps an audio recording that your ensemble kids are working on for the next concert, and you might just want the students to record themselves. It won't assess them because we do that in a separate program called Practice First. But if you like to work in this kind of environment, kind of a garage band, Pro Tools, Logic style environment, then Soundation may be your thing. But so indeed may be Soundtrap. So everything's in the cloud. Soundtrap, if you've not looked at it, you can get to it via the Music First Classroom. Some people just like to use Soundtrap on its own. You can, of course. We like it inside the classroom because we've written lesson plans for it, and which you can immediately assign to your students. But a great program for both music and for podcasting. Incidentally, we've just been working with our friends at Focusrite, who make really interesting audio interfaces, control surfaces, MIDI keyboards and microphones and headphones to offer you hardware these days. So if you are interested in doing things like podcasting, we're also writing a syllabus for podcasting because we think that's a really big growth area. So you can use Soundtrap or Soundation for podcasting, but if you need help with hardware, we can help with that too. If you prefer to use music or could just use it for writing music, then there are your 6 things that you can do. The 6 most usual things you might want to do. Do I want to use loops? Do I want to just create my own patterns or play the synth, etc.? Or as I say, if you are an ensemble director and you just want to use it as a way of going to get, music, audio recordings, and just getting them into your software, you can do that too. So I can go and find some audio that my students are working on. We're working on a piece for a particular concert, so I can just open up whatever the file is and it will load it in. And then the student can sing along, they can add their own track, sing along with it. As with everything we do, you can give them a task to do it. So you don't expect the student, you don't have to expect the student to open all that stuff up, make it themselves. What you would do is you'd make this whole thing as a template, give it a name, and then assign it to your students using a task. So that's the whole workflow that we have. 2 more things in case we don't get to them because time is mighty short. Really our 2 big kahunas. How do we deal with ensembles? Practice First, which we think is the world's best assessment program now, where you can play or sing into it using any instrument. With the exception of untuned percussion, it's quite hard to assess that. But this is a program where you can literally open thousands of scores, have your students work on whatever it is, open up the score, choose the part that the students are going to be playing along with, and then literally press record. And the student can then play their part. It will listen to them, it will give them a grade, and its assessment accuracy is better than anything else out there. So it goes a bit beyond just sort of what you might call red, green, right or wrong. It gives you all the stuff in between. Strongly recommend that you log into Practice First, hunt for what you want, and then go and open the exercises. Also, to round off the software, almost needs no introduction, Sight Reading Factory. Very popular. Just open it, launch it. There is an excellent new feature in Sight Reading Factory called Live Practice, which if you haven't heard about it, Google Live Practice Sight Reading Factory, and you will see that excellent new feature, which is now in Sight Reading Factory. So to finish off, how does this glue work that I described? You set up classes, and as I say, we can help you roster all those classes. You set up a class, and then inside your class, you simply create a task. And that will go into the Music First gradebook. And if you give them something using software that auto grades, and we've got lots of software that auto grades, then the grades will just come back to you in your gradebook. So you can create a task, give it a name. We have 10 different kinds of tasks. So if you want to give them something in the software, you can, but you can also just simply have them send you a video, record themselves, write something, watch something. I can embed a video, have them write something about the video. So anything you do, every task you ever create has got its own URL. You can paste that someplace else if you have to, like Canvas, Schoology, Google Classroom. You can give your task a due date, and you can tag to standards, national standards, New Jersey standards, add it to your Music First gradebook, which itself can be exported, create the task, and then if you want to go that stage further, copy it into Google Classroom, Remind, Canvas, or Schoology. It's a live task. You can use it over and over again by making it a favorite, and you can edit it. So that's an awful lot of information in a short space of time. But all of that to say, I suppose the initial statement that I made is that we do think that it is a complete kind of thing. You can use Music First to achieve lots and lots of different things. So I hope that was useful. Please come back to us if you are interested in finding out more. Robin@musicfirst.com, or just simply go to musicfirst.com. Thank you for watching.